Hi guys, it's mandy.del. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a Q&A on Sarpe surgery and palatal expanders. I'm aware this Q&A is long overdue, but a very long time ago, some of my lovely subscribers asked me a bunch of questions on my Instagram, by the way, @_mandy.del. Go follow that. It's not teeth or braces related at all, but it's just me, my vibe, my aesthetic. You know, if you like me, I don't know, but if you fuck with me, feel free to join. So let's get into it. So I'm just gonna pull up your questions real quick. It's been a minute. I don't know how to make YouTube videos anymore. I'm just kidding. I'm a natural, obviously. The first question is, how was your experience? Did it work, or was there any good result? And to answer your question, did it work? I mean, if you compare my smile now to my smile before in my old videos, I'm gonna pull it up right now, an example. This is my smile now. So yeah, this is my smile now. It's nice and wide. It looks pretty good. Before, in my old videos, man, it was narrow as shit. It was really narrow. Like I always say in all of my videos, it was a triangle. It was so narrow. So yes, it did work, and there was a very good result. I'm super happy with how much it widened my upper palate. The pictures really speak for themselves. No, because bitch, it really worked. So if you're, you know, contemplating, trying to decide if you want to get this or not, if it's worth it, 100%, I don't regret getting it. Yeah. Don't regret it. Now, how was your experience? It was good and bad, like anything in life. There's always yin and yang, but it balanced out, and that's the good thing out of it. It was hard, it was difficult having to go through surgery for the first time in my life. I have never had a surgery before ever, and especially having a surgery, you know, on your mouth, which is something that you use every day. It's a lot. Like having a surgery on your face, I think it's more scary than, to me at least, I find having a surgery on your face is more scary than on your body, like your arm or your leg. But then again, I don't know, I've never been through any other surgery, but just for me, anything on the face to me is a bit scary, especially the mouth, because the mouth is what you use for everything, for eating, for drinking, for speaking. It definitely impacted all of those things. When I was recovering, I couldn't eat solid foods. I had to drink soups and ensures and stuff like that. And I couldn't speak very well. For the first couple of days, I tried to avoid talking just because I was so swollen, and it also kind of hurt to talk. So instead I would text on my phone in the notes app, or I would write it down and then I'd show the person. It was just much easier like that. So the whole surgery experience, I think, was the toughest part for me, especially the pre-surgery. When I was in the hospital waiting to get my surgery, that's when, I had panic attack. I had an anxiety attack just before. My whole body was shaking. It was not fun, but it was really the fear of like the unknown, because I had never ever gotten a surgery before, and it's just scary to think that like someone's going to cut your skin or cut your bone and just like your brain thinks like you're gonna be harmed, like you're gonna be sent into a room to be harmed, but no, it's not really the case. Like you can't go in with that mentality. You have to go in with the mentality that like getting this done is really gonna help me. I'm gonna come out after this when I'm recovered and I'm gonna look so good. I'm gonna be able to eat better, to speak better, to breathe better. Really think about why you're doing this and try to avoid thinking about the scary negative parts of it. I just my mind goes in dark places and sometimes it's just very hard to control, and that was fortunately what happened prior to going into surgery. And it's funny because when I got to the hospital, I was all amped up. I was like, let's do this, oh my gosh, I'm so freaking ready. And then my mind was like, bitch, no, you're gonna have to have a breakdown, like you can't be that happy. And yeah, that's when I had a bunch of anxiety. But yeah, that was just me, and just know that it's nowhere as scary as, you know, your mind portrays it to be. When I woke up, I was just chilling, like I just wanted to sleep. I wasn't in any pain, I was fine. I didn't feel sick or anything, and they did give me electrolyte solution through IV so that I wouldn't feel sick. So I think when I woke up I said I was feeling a bit nauseous, and then they gave me that and I was feeling good. I wasn't hungry or anything. That part was good. The first day when I got home, I was fine for a bit, but later that night, I was in a lot of pain because I didn't take the painkiller, which is going to be my next question. What were the painkillers that I took? I kind of caused that pain onto myself. So definitely, like, sis, you don't want to do that. You really don't want to do that. Just take your damn meds. Take your damn painkillers, okay? It's not worth suffering. But that was the only like really bad part. And then for the rest of my experience, recovering was just adapting to a sort of new temporary way of life. So only eating liquids, which I honestly didn't mind. I wasn't hungry. I don't know why, but I was not hungry, which is weird, but I'm happy. The swelling, it got pretty bad at some point where even my eyelids started swelling, and that was sort of a scary point, but it ended up being okay, and the swelling went down gradually. That was the Sarpe surgery experience. Overall, it wasn't bad. It was really just the anticipation and the nerves that made it worse than it actually was. And so for my palatal expander experience, it really was the first couple days with it on. It was the fact that I did not know how to eat with it or drink with it. Well, drinking wasn't bad, it was eating with it that I was just like, what the heck, how am I ever gonna eat anything? I was like, I'm gonna have to starve myself until I get this damn thing off. I was only having liquids like soup and stuff like that, and then eventually, I think it was like the second day, I was starving so much. I ended up kind of forcing myself to learn how to eat, and I was able to eat an entire vegan shepherd's pie. And so from that point on, I sort of knew how to eat. But yeah, eating was like the most difficult thing. There was a lot of foods that I could not eat anymore, and still to this day, without my palatal expander, I can't eat these foods because I can't chew them. I have an underbite right now. So eating with an underbite is like, try eating like this, with your jaw completely out, and try eating like this. It's so freaking hard to eat. Your teeth don't even touch. How are you supposed to break down food? Obviously my underbite is not that bad. There's definitely people out there that have worse underbites than me, but even though my underbite is not that bad, there are still a lot of teeth that don't even touch together, and so I can't break down my food properly. I sort of rip my food instead of properly like chewing it and chopping it. There's a lot of foods that are still very difficult for me to eat now, such as salads, soft tacos, like what other things? A lot of raw vegetables, any leafy greens I struggle to break down, fruits. Pretty much the only things that I could eat with my palatal expander, and still to this day, are pasta, mashed potatoes, pureed soups, vegan chicken nuggets, vegan mac and cheese, vegan hot dogs, anything that is soft and that is easy to break down. Yeah, like my diet was very restricted. Unfortunately, it was very difficult to eat a variety of different foods, but as long as the foods were soft and I could break them down, I could eat them. I tried to change it up as much as I can within my range of foods that I could eat, and I still kind of do this to this day because I'm waiting on my double jaw surgery, and so after that I will be able to break down, you know, pretty much all foods like a normal human being. I could do a video on what I eat in a day as a vegan braced face with an underbite that can't chew for shit. A lot of people think it's weird and whatnot, but it's also the fact that like I have a fear of choking. That added to the mix is just no ma'am, and that is why I turned into a picky eater. It is what it is. Oh yes, and I forgot to mention I am also a vegan queen, so that also restricts my diet. Anyways, a whole mess. Why am I even talking about this? Wow, I'm on the first goddamn question, and I need to speed up. I really need to stop. I need to speed up. Okay, so for the palatal expander, that was really the hardest moment, but for the rest, it wasn't bad. It didn't hurt me. It didn't hurt me at all. Turning it wasn't an issue either, and so that was my experience. Overall, I would say that it was a good balance of yin and yang, and the reward was very worth it. I'm not gonna lie and be like, oh, it was an amazing experience. Like, no, there were a lot of ups and downs, but overall, like, I was able to handle it, and it's definitely doable. Even if you feel like, oh my gosh, like, how am I gonna do this? I hate this, or whatever. If any negative feelings that you feel, just know that it is so worth it, and you will be okay. You will get through it. Just think about how much easier your life is going to be afterwards. Look at me, I'm shining, and I no longer have a triangle for a jaw. So that's that, and that is that on that. Period. Next question. Let's fucking go. So my next question is, what kind of painkillers did you take again, or do they tell you? So the painkillers that I took is called oxycodone. I believe they gave me around 10 little pills of 5 milligrams each. And so, little story with the painkillers. I actually didn't want to take them the first day that I got home from surgery. Because I had called my surgeon office. I want to take more information on them, and they were like, oh, just be careful, they might make you feel nauseous. And I'm like, okay, no, I don't want that at all. Like, I'm already recovering from a damn surgery. I don't want to feel sick on top of that. I absolutely hate the feeling of nausea. I think it's the worst feeling ever, because it's like, just yak already or don't. Like, I hate that in between feeling. It's so annoying. And also, throwing up after getting surgery must be painful as heck, having to open your mouth that wide. I could not open my mouth very wide, if I remember correctly. I don't think I could move it that much. So to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to avoid that at all costs. And so my logic was, I'm just gonna keep taking, you know, ibuprofen, which is something that I'm used to. I was like, okay, I have a lot of pain, and so I decided to crush up a Tylenol and take that, and that was still not reducing the pain. I got to a point where I was just so uncomfortable, and I was like, you know what am I doing? Literally, what am I doing? And I decided to take half of an oxycodone. So those pills, there's like a little line in the middle and you can cut it like that. And so I cut it in half and I took half and I ended up being fine. And I was like, wow, I felt so much better. I didn't have any more pain and I did not feel any nausea at all. So please take my advice on this and just take your damn harder painkillers, okay? Don't try to deprive yourself of them out of fear. Like, you don't want to be in pain. You want your experience to be as comfortable as possible. If I would have taken the painkiller sooner, that wouldn't have happened, and honestly my experience would have been better. We are here for a good time, so take your oxy, okay? Also, on the prescription, if you guys are wondering, I was told I could take one pill of 5 mgs every 4 to 6 hours if needed against pain. I ended up only taking half and I was fine. If you guys are worried about, you know, how your body's going to react to the oxy, you can always take half, and if you're fine, you can take the other half. I think for myself, I only ended up taking half an oxy the night of my surgery day, and then the next day I took the other half. And that was it. I honestly didn't need it anymore. I was taking ibuprofen I think it was every 4 to 6 hours. Definitely read your prescriptions. Don't quote me on that. What I was prescribed in full is liquid ibuprofen. I was prescribed oxycodone, which is a stronger drug, an opioid, the damn thing. And I was prescribed Paradex, which is an oral rinse against gingivitis, and so that was all that I was prescribed. Not me adding on to the question, and they didn't even ask what I was prescribed. Like, I mean, I'm trying to give you as much info as I can because I feel like as someone getting the surgery, like, you want to know everything that you can to prepare yourself. So like, it's kind of a win-win that I'm talking so damn much. My apologies though. So my next question is, how much time did you take off of work / school to do the surgery and recover a bit? So I took 2 weeks off and I wasn't working at the time. I purposely said peace to my work. I think it was a few months before my surgery. Because I was already planning on leaving that place. The conditions weren't that great and I knew that I would have a surgery coming up, and so for the surgery I was like, I just don't want to deal with work. But I am pretty sure that if you have a doctor's note and you bring it to your employer, they should be able to give you the amount of time that you need to recover. It's technically a medical leave of absence. Just talk to your employer, but you should definitely get the 2 weeks. Don't try to rush your recovery. Don't tell them 1 week and in reality you need 2. It's always better to ask them for more in advance, and then if you need less, then you can say, hey, actually I'm ready earlier to come back, because you don't want to be forced back to work if you're not feeling well, if you're still recovering. It's a lot on the body. The body can do amazing things, but it needs time, it needs healing. And yeah, my advice is to take the full 2 weeks off. I ended up taking off of school because I was in college at the time / CJEP, and so I was taking, I think it was the minimum course load of 4 classes, so at least I wasn't taking like a bunch of classes, because definitely if I was taking full course load, I don't think I would be able to do it, quite frankly. And anyways, throughout college, I never took the full course load because I just don't work like that. I don't like it. I like to take my time. I like to focus on only a few specific subjects at a time. For me, I was able to work it out. I told all of my teachers in advance. I actually told them when I took the class. So my first day meeting the teacher, I told them right away, like, hey, I want to take your class, but I have a surgery coming up. Can we work things out? All of them said yes, thankfully, and I'm very happy, but it could have happened that one of the teachers said, look, for this class, it's too much. I don't think, that's possible. So typically, in advance around when your surgery will be. I don't quite remember when I found out, but I knew that I would be getting the surgery in the next few months, and it was the start of the semester. I believe that I knew the surgery date before I started school, so that ended up working out. If you were in school and it works that way, definitely tell your teachers like as soon as you take the class, like, hey, I have a surgery to do. And essentially what they did is the teachers either said, okay, take your 2 weeks off and a classmate will give you all the notes that you need, and then when you come back you'll be able to take any exams that you missed. And that was for my Calculus 2 class, which was sort of hard to say the least. So it was kind of hard to catch up for that class in particular, but my teacher was super understanding, and can't remember exactly, but she made certain modifications for me for my grades so that I could take this exam and it could count for more or something like that. So, or one of my teachers actually made me do my exam before I left, and that was perfect. That worked out for me. It was one less exam that I had to worry about when I come back. I'm really thankful that my teachers were super understanding about it and really helpful. And so, most of the time they'll either make you do whatever you missed when you come back or beforehand. Honestly, I think beforehand works out best, or a bit of both, so you're not overloaded. If your teachers are understanding, they'll definitely find a way for you to be able to take 2 weeks off and succeed in school as well. And work should do the same. So someone asked, do you know if an immune system deficiency makes it harder for your bones to grow back? Good question. I suppose it depends on the illness that one has. I am not a doctor, so I don't know. I can't answer this question. I would just be researching it myself and then telling you from what I researched what I found, but I think that's more so something to ask to your doctor or your surgeon. Personally, if you guys don't know, I was born with HIV, which is the human immunodeficiency virus, and for me, my bones had no problem growing back. I have no issues with my bones. I am very healthy because I am undetectable, meaning that the amount of virus in my blood is so low that it is undetected when taking blood tests, etc. Also, undetectable equals untransmittable, period. Essentially, people who are undetectable cannot transmit HIV sexually. So if you're wondering about those things, go check out my other HIV related videos. I have a whole playlist. To answer your question, I think perhaps if you specifically had a bone problem, then that could be possible. I do not think an immune system deficiency could make it quite harder, but then again, I am not a doctor, so I am not one to tell you about that. I would really say to ask your doctor if you are worried about that, although it is interesting, and I'm down to ask my doctor this question next time I see her. But as for me, I had no problems. My bones fused back together, no problem. Okay, so halfway through this, I decided that this is gonna be part 1, and then there's gonna be a part 2, which is my own questions that I'm going to add that I think people will want to know. They're questions that I've got in the past that people commented, and also questions that if I had to do the surgery again, what would I want to know about it? You know what, I'm tired, so I'm just gonna do one last question. Sorry, not sorry, but you're gonna have to watch part 2. So subscribe if you want to know how much did the surgery cost, how did I eat, how long did I have my expander in my mouth for, etc, etc, because this is already a long video. But last question, drumroll. Last question is, how do they keep your jaws together before they are healed and grow back? To answer your question, it is the palatal expander that holds them in place and acts as fixation. So I actually had my palatal expander in my mouth before going to my surgery. So basically the palatal expander is what is going to expand and move your palate to the two pieces, I guess you could say, of your palate. It is moved thanks to the palatal expander, and every time you turn the key, it widens it. So it widens it, it widens it, it widens it, and eventually you get to a point where that's how wide your orthodontist wants it to be. And so that's when my palatal expander stayed in my mouth for several months. I had my palatal expander on for a full year and 4 days. Basically, the palatal expander, even when you're done turning, you still have to keep your palatal expander in your mouth for a certain amount of time. For me, it was a very long time. It was a year that I had to keep my palatal expander on, because the palatal expander keeps your jaws into place. And so it makes sure that the bone fuses back at that place so that it doesn't become smaller again. You want it to fuse back at that specific width. And that is going to be it for the Q&A, for the questions. If you guys have more questions, you can always write them down in the comments down below, and I could use that for future Q&A videos. I could keep doing Q&A videos, you know, every couple months, every few months, if you guys want, if you have more questions. But keep in mind, I have only experience going through Sarpe surgery and having a palatal expander. I have not studied orthodontics, nor have I studied orthodontics. If you do have more scientific / technical questions, it's always best to ask a professional, ask your ortho, ask your oral surgeon. But I can definitely let you guys know what it's like at the hospital, what did I eat while recovering, pain levels, etc, etc. All those type of questions. I'm your girl. I'm always open to any type of questions, but before answering you, I usually do my research to make sure that, you know, I'm giving you good information. And if I can't answer, I'm gonna tell you to ask your ortho or ask your surgeon. And for those who are new to my channel, I'm mandy.del, and I had Sarpe surgery in 2019, and I got my braces and my palatal expander on in 2019. So feel free to ask me any questions about that. I am an experienced bitch in that domain. But yeah, I currently still have my braces on right now, as you can tell. And I still have to have them on for a bit because I have an underbite. And so I'm getting a double jaw surgery. So if you're interested in my journey, definitely subscribe. I'm going to be going through the changes, and I'm going to document everything because I think it's interesting and I want to see my whole journey, and I also am glad to help other people along the way. So that is going to be it.